got something in my pocket, it belongs across my face, and I keep it very close at hand in a most familiar place. I'm sure you wouldn't guess it if you guessed a long, long while, so I'll take it out and put it on. It's a great big brownie smile.
That's honestly kind of terrifying.
I know. Shit together, the Knitting and Fiber Arts podcast where neurodivergence and yarn collide. My name is Farrah. I use she, her pronouns. I'm in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and you can find me on Ravelry as @FarrahKnits and on Instagram as TomboyFemBags.
Hi, I'm Annika. I use they, them pronouns. I'm in Moses Lake, Washington. And you can find me on Ravelry @Threadcatcher and on Instagram @TFueledLiving.
And today, Annika put on makeup and lipstick and eyeshadow and earrings and a necklace and dressed up. And I took a shower and have a bra on.
The really funny part is I didn't really dress up. I did spend almost an hour doing my makeup because I do it so infrequently. So there is that, but like literally I'm wearing one of the many sweaters out of my closet and a tank top, and that's it. And I always have this necklace on. So
you know what's great though about doing a podcast, if you sit how you do and not like how I do, is you could have on no pants right now, but look really gussied up like from here.
I've actually used that for Skype interviews before. It's worked really, really well. Because I'll be wearing pajama pants and then just like look nice from the waist up, and it's the best way to interview. So, but yeah.
Oh, no. And I should say, if you're a first-time viewer, welcome. Hi.
Hello, welcome. Thank you for watching.
If you're a regular viewer, hi.
Hello.
And you should
also thank you for watching.
And we broke 100 subscribers.
Woo! Party!
Yeah. So please, thank you for that. And so now we were able to get a custom URL that is like youtube.com/knitting my shit together in some configuration. I should know it, but I think they just took the I out of shit. Yeah, I think it's knitting my SHT together I think that's the end of it.
Close enough. That works.
Yeah. Okay. So let's start with FOs. And then I think we'll talk about, because we definitely have podcast Ravelry group Cover Your Ass Knit Along announcements. Do we want to do that first? Maybe we should.
Let's do that first.
Yeah. Okay, so we are hosting our first knit along. Yay! Which is going to start in October 1st. I put an event in, so you can go to our Ravelry group. You can find the link to our Ravelry group in our link tree on Instagram. But basically, if you go to Ravelry and put in, knitting my shit together, and you do no I think is how it's in Ravelry, or the asterisk like it is on this podcast, then that's a problem with having the word shit in your title, is that people get weird about shit, and yeah. Anyway, you can join our group and join the knit along. And first off, if you're going to participate, do any social media posts with the hashtag CoverYourAssKAL, which I'll put up in a slide here. And you can join the group on Ravelry, like I've said like 5 times now in a row. And what we're going to do is, I made an event because we're going to do a virtual cast-on party. And it is going to be October 1st at like 12:01 a.m. So technically just after midnight of the night before. Central Daylight Time, I think is what I said, which was GMT -5. And
Is that what the D stands for when you post CDT?
yeah.
I'm wondering. Okay.
Because when daylight savings time is over, it will be
CST, Central Standard Time?
Yep, it'll be CST. But we're in daylight savings, which is the dumbest thing ever. Anyway, like, why can't we just let it do what it does? Because it just messes with sleep schedules so much. Like, in the fall, it's great because I gain an hour. But in the spring, I'm usually, like, at finals time in school, and I'm like, give me my damn hour back. Anyway, so we're going to have a cast-on party, and if it isn't October 1st where you live, at the time of the cast-on party, that's your only, you can start anyway because it'll be fun, cast-on party. And we're going to knit Elizabeth Zimmerman's Nether Garments, which there is a link to there, and basically it's make your own long underwear leggings, but we've kind of said the caveat, anything that covers your ass. So, like, there are people who are going to do a dress or skirt, and it's 6 months long. The pattern we're using is size inclusive. And yeah.
And you're welcome to use whichever yarn you choose.
Yeah, totally.
There's no one specific, you have to use wool yarn. I'm planning on stash diving, and yeah, you can also use whichever weight of yarn you'd like. I mean, you're making something for you, and so if you'd rather have leggings that are thicker and out of worsted weight yarn, or that's what you've got, then cool, and go for it. The other thing too is that if you need financial assistance with getting the pattern or with getting yarn, contact Farrah or I, and we'll hook you up.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to sneeze like right in the middle of words. So yeah.
Yeah. Also, so I have this idea, and I'm putting out a call to see interest and to also look for makers potentially. If I don't find a maker, I'll find a local business here to Minneapolis probably. But Annika and I had this idea of this thing we want to do with the podcast in general, not just the Cover Your Ass Knit Along, which is we want to make scout patches. So do you remember when you were young, if you live in, I mean, I think they have like versions of the Scouts, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts. Now it's just Scouts, which I appreciate. Everywhere, all over the world, they have different versions. But when I was in Scouts, I was only in the Brownies for 1 year. And then I quit. Because I was like, I do remember the song, though.
We never did Scouts growing up just because we had so many other things going on.
Did you do Brownies?
I didn't.
Do you want to hear the song?
Yes, I want to hear the song.
I had to sing the song with all my troop members when I graduated Brownies. Had I stayed in Brownies, the next year I would have started Girl Scouts. So Brownies have like brown uniforms, and Girl Scouts is green. And so we had to sing this song. I've got something in my pocket, it belongs across my face, and I keep it very close at hand in a most familiar place. I'm sure you wouldn't guess it if you guessed a long, long while, so I'll take it out and put it on. It's a great big brownie smile.
That's honestly kind of terrifying.
I know.
About like what you're saying.
Anywho, so we want to do merit badges like they do in Scouts. So when I was in Brownies, we had a sash that we wore that we would embroider or like sew our embroidered patches to, and it would usually have like your troop number and, you know, all the things. So we were thinking you could designate one of your knitting project bags for patches, or however, it's your life, do whatever you want. I'm going to designate a project bag. I'm probably going to designate my Fringe Supply camo bag. I'll take the pins off it, and this will be my merit badge bag. So this is the patches we've thought of so far. We're going to do one for the Cover Your Ass Cal, and then we're going to do one for subscribers to the podcast. So if you subscribe, you earn that merit badge. If you participate in the Cal, you earn that marriage badge. And what we're hoping to do is this. we're hoping to find somebody to make us merit badges. So this is the part where if you have an embroidery machine and you can make badges, and you do, and you would like to make them for us and sell them to us, reach out to Annika or I and let us know. Otherwise, I'll find like a local shop in Minneapolis that's an embroidery shop. And what we're hoping to do is place pre-orders, at least for the specific CALs. I might just order a batch of ones for subscribers that people can order. And what we're hoping is, because if we can order in bulk, that they get less expensive. Like, what I don't want to do is have 100 merit badges for the Cover Your Ass Cal and like only 2 of you want them. And then what our thought is we'll do, as we do different events on the podcast and in the Ravelry group, so like we might make a merit badge for if you're a member of the Ravelry group. We might make a merit, and make different merit badges, and that would be really fun for different CALs, different things we do, and it will be awesome, I think. I am excited about merit badges.
Me too.
Yeah. So let us know. Give us your feedback. You can comment below. You can DM us on Instagram, on Ravelry, on, all the places. And yeah. And I will put a post in the Ravelry group asking if we do merit badges, would you be interested? And is that something you would want to participate in? And then maybe what we'll do is once we find a supplier and we know the cost, I will create a pre-order form on my Tomboy Femme bag site so that people can pre-order them. And then, that's what we'll do, I think. Yeah. I'm excited. So the CAL runs from October 1st to March 31st. So there's plenty of time. It will be inclusive, all of that. I feel really rambly today.
I know, I do too. Like, I'm having such a hard time focusing today, and I don't know what it is. So
it should be interesting today. I mean, I already did sing the Brownie song, so we've got that going for us. Okay. Is there any other announcements we have? Do you think you had a hyper-focus makeup thing? Because before we recorded, I had a hyper-focus, like, rearranging my studio space thing. Do you think your makeup thing is a hyper-focus thing for you?
Considering that it took me like an hour to put it on, probably. I also washed all of my makeup brushes and rearranged my makeup case. So yeah, I'm gonna go with it was a hyper focus.
I'm gonna say yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, sounds like it. I'm gonna say yeah.
Okay. So let's start with FOs. Annika, do you have any FOs?
I have none. I have no FOs this week.
And you need to not feel shame about that.
Yeah.
Well, not that you are. I'm not psychic. I don't know what you feel, but
I don't know. I don't know. I do feel like a little bit of shame about it. Like, it's kind of weird. Like, the podcast gives me accountability. Like, look, I actually did stuff this week.
But you have done stuff this week.
No, I've done a lot of stuff this week. Just with the one thing I frogged, like, that would have been my FO, and I literally have nothing to show for it this week, so that's okay. I don't know. Okay. It's been a weird emotional week. I'm accepting it and moving on.
Yeah. I have one, which is I finished my rainbow socks.
They're so cool.
I love them.
Cool.
These are knit in mustache yarns. This is the Vespa. And I'm using 3 Irish Girls Binge Knits yarn that they do with Stephen B for the cuffs, toes, and heels. I was trying to say them in the order from the top down, and I was like, yeah, that's not going to work. Hold on, my dad's calling me. Let me just send him to voicemail. Sorry, Dad. Anyway, yeah, I love them. They're very soft, and now I can't wait to knit my other mustache yarn. But I might hold on to it because I can't buy any more of their yarn until January. And so I might wait and savor it. Yeah.
I know, it's getting hard. Like, it's kind of funny. Like, I have all of these projects I want to do, but like, all of these amazing yarn dyers keep releasing beautiful yarn. And so I texted Eric earlier today while he was at work, and I'm like, so for my yarn diet, it doesn't count if you buy it. Here's like the specific ones that I want and how many skeins I need, hint, hint. And honestly, I have no idea if he's going to buy it or not. Probably not, which is okay. But
I'm okay with the yarn diet. I just am frustrated with my whips, which brings us to whips. So why don't you go first? I think we're both maybe frustrated with whips.
I think that's what it is. Yeah, I definitely. Okay, so the 2 whips that I have, like, that I actively worked on this week, like, I'm not frustrated with. Like, I'm really enjoying both of the ones that I'm doing. The first one that I'm doing is not much to look at. My parents, or my mom specifically, asked me to knit and crochet a bunch of 8x8 and 12x12 squares that she's sticking in shadow boxes or shadow box frames on the wall in the dining room.
Which is a great idea, by the way.
Cool. It's so cool. And it's really nice to feel like what I do is finally appreciated. So I'm working on the beginning of a feather and fan lace square. And yeah, I have absolutely no idea what yarn this is. It's some bright green acrylic from my deep stash, and so it's a worsted weight, and that's like honestly all the information I have about it. But yeah, and it's like a light green neon. Like my mom didn't originally pick something this bright because their house colors are pretty dark.
Neutral.
Like, yeah, but since they're going in completely black shadow box frames, the squares that I had already knit her were too dark and you couldn't see like any of the stitches.
Oh, so are you going to redo those?
Yeah, so I'm redoing them. So I had already done a feather and fan lace square, so I'm redoing that. I'm gonna re-crochet a giant popcorn square because I love her, and I don't remember the other squares that I did. I had done 2 others, so yeah, I'm just having to redo them in brighter colors, which is cool. They don't take that long since they're only like 8x8 or 12x12.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And I have to attach them together or weave in ends. So, like, I feel like I get quite a bit accomplished. All right, the other thing that I'm working on is a test knit sock. In the yarn that I hand dyed, and
so pretty.
It is like this beautiful cable pattern. Like, just I'm really, really enjoying it, and I'm almost done with it.
Okay, is that a Tweety yarn, or is that just speckles you added in the dyeing?
It's speckles I added in the dyeing.
So
the yarn
beautiful.
was just a plain cream yarn. The yarn that it was originally was the Premier Deborah Norville Serenity sock weight.
Okay.
Which is just a plain yarn.
And you dyed it with acid dyes, right?
Yeah, I dyed it with Jacquard acid dyes. I used pumpkin, and then I speckled it with chestnut. And that's it. Like, and I use vinegar instead of citric acid, just because it's way easier to find out here. And I don't have to rely on the post office actually getting my box of citric acid to me in one piece, because I've had issues with that before. So yeah, I use vinegar, and it turned out really, really pretty. I'm really happy. So yeah, so the sock that I am test knitting is designed by the Jewel Knitter. Hold on, I have to pull up the name because I just forgot it. And this is called Tom's Horseshoe Sock. And yeah, so it's turning out really, really pretty, and I'm really happy. And I've been able to try on the sock, which is good because it's a cuff down sock. And at this point, I feel like everyone knows how I feel about cuff down socks and my not great luck with them. but it fits. It like actually fits on my foot, and I'm really, really excited. So yeah. So I'm hoping to have this sock finished like tomorrow. And yeah, that's it for the whips that I worked on this week.
Okay. Well, let me get this one stitch because I'm at the end of the row and I don't want to drop. Okay. So I'm trying to focus on Issa's stuff for college because they leave in like, 10 days, 2 weeks. So that's what I'm going to really try and focus on. And this is the last of their socks using the Patons Croix Blue Striped Rag. I finished my rainbow socks in group therapy, and I even like Kitchenered it there and wove in ends and everything, and then cast on the toe, and have been kind of picking this up here and there and working on this. And then I realized yesterday, like, if I have any hope of getting their hat done for them that they asked for, and that's just a plain vanilla sock, by the way, I'm knitting it on US ones. But I realized yesterday if I have any hope of getting their hat done for them, I really need to just cast it on and get started. So I did, and that's what I'm working on now. It is the Skip hat, and I don't know, I think it's by Jared Flood, but it was put out by Brooklyn Tweed, I know that. And it's a brioche hat, and I love it, and it's so smushy and soft, and I wish you all could feel it. And I'm totally knitting one for myself now. So it's called Skip with 2 P's, and I am knitting it in Yeti yarns in their Sasquatch sock base, and I'm using what are the colorways? This one I think is called Concrete Jungle, or this one is, and I can't remember what the other colorway is, but I love them. It's on my Ravelry page. And it's real. I forgot how much I love brioche knitting. I love it. And I'd only ever done one color brioche. I feel like everybody makes shit sound harder than it really is. And maybe that's just me. But I feel like people were like, oh, well, you've only ever done one color brioche flat. Just wait until you're doing 2 in the round. And I was like, okay. And so I just am now doing 2 in the round, and it's not that much different for me at all. I enjoy it. And I'm really happy. So last night I had to fix a mistake already. And so if you don't know this, we have a mentions playlist on our channel, which is when we mention a video or tutorial, we put it in the mentions playlist. I have one in there for how to fix mistakes in brioche. So good. And so like now, if I make a mistake, I totally can drop down and ladder and pick up in brioche. And I'm so glad I know that. I already fixed one yesterday because I taught myself how to do that, because when I was doing my tassels in Amsterdam shawl, I was like, I can't keep ripping this out every time I make a mistake. So, yeah, Skip hat. Then, okay, this is where the frustration comes in. That's not the frustration, the sock or the Skip hat. The frustration is 2 things. Thing number 1 is I cast on, that's not the yarn, I cast on the Spring Feverish scarf, number 5. I forget the name of the person who does the pattern. Malabrigo Sussurro. It's a cute little kerchief with a button. This is the red agate colorway in the Sussurro, and I love it. I got through the first little section to the second section, and then I think I just kept working on it when I was tired. Yeah, and making mistakes. And so I was just like, through the first section isn't a ton of knitting. It's not that big of a kerchief, but I was just like, you know what? I'm just ripping it out and starting over. And so that's where I'm at. And so I'm not going to get back to this till I finish Issa's sock and hat. Those get all my attention until they're done. In other shawl frustration news, I also was like, oh, what's the big project that I finished? After I finished my chevron shawl, I'm like, I can start other shawls that are in my queue. I really want to get stuff in my queue done. So I picked out my spring cleaning shawl and started it again. and I'm off by a stitch somewhere. So I have to rip back on this and figure out where it is. And so that's frustrating that like both of the shawls I'm working on, I was really annoyed because I was having issues with both. I will figure it out. I just have to be in the right headspace. And I have to be done with Issa's sock. I did a lot of spinning this week. Oh, it's all put away. I mean, I'm just spinning singles. My wheel went to the woodworker who's going to refinish it, and he's on Instagram. His business is called Fogborn Woodworking, and I'm really excited to see it and use it. And I kind of decided that plying on my drop spindle, I might do some of it just to have some finished hand spun this week, but you know, it's a lot more time intensive. And so I'm thinking I might wait and ply, keep hand spinning a bunch of singles and then ply them all on my wheel. What are your thoughts on that as someone who's used both?
Maddie. I swear, like, neighbors know they're podcasting, have to go knock on the door. All dead. Oh.
Maddie's just trying to protect you.
My goodness. Okay. No, I think plying. Oh, really, Maddie?
I mean, is it in my head or is plying faster on a wheel?
Once you get used to. Are you guys going outside? We were going to, but just put it down. Take it off your fingers. Put it down. Because Leva wants to play. Cool. Go play. You guys can go play outside. Just please stop talking to me because we're trying to podcast. Okay. See you. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Plying on a wheel is definitely easier once you get used to being able to like keep the same direction going while treadling. That's the biggest like inhibitor with plying on a wheel is you have to get used to how to pedal correctly to get your wheel to spin the way that you want it to for plying versus spinning it. So once you get that, like plying on a wheel is so much quicker than.
But do you think maybe I should just ply these on my spindle and then get the treadling down with spinning singles on my wheel and then ply them on my wheel?
So I was taught that when you learn how to spin on your wheel, you literally are just going to sit there for like an hour or so at a time for like the first little bit with no yarn, not actually spinning, but like just practicing starting and stopping and getting your wheel to go the way that you want it to.
Okay.
So, I mean, like once you get comfortable with that, you could literally just go straight to plying.
Okay. Got it. So yeah, that's that. That's my whips. And yeah. What, should we do the mental health moment?
Yeah.
Okay. Mental health moment.
Whoop, whoop.
This week for the mental health moment, we thought we would talk about unsolicited advice.
Sorry.
So if you're not neurodivergent, this might be for you. Even if you are neurodivergent, this is for you because we sometimes do it to one another. Because I think what happens is, as a neurodivergent person, you know what works for you. And so you think this is amazing and incredible and you want to share it with everybody and you think everybody should do it and then they'll feel better too. And that's not necessarily the case. So a lot of times what has happened, and Annika and I were talking about this week, is people will come up to you. I'm going to stop doing this so I can focus on what I'm saying. Is people will come up to you and say, hey, when they find out you have a mental illness, they'll be like, oh, have you tried this? Have you tried this? Blah, 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 blah. And, okay, it's annoying. Like, we get people's intentions are good, that they want to help, and it comes from that place. But this is what it feels like. Well, A, it feels like, first off, you're not my psychiatrist. A. B, it's, I know, I think also what needs to be said is it's kind of dangerous too. Because if you say that to somebody who maybe is in an iffy place of their trust of psychiatric medicine or whatever, but that's what's potentially keeping them alive. Hamilton's here. They could, I mean, it could mean that they like quit taking their meds or try something wonky and seriously hurt themselves.
The other thing too is that unsolicited advice like that can also make it so people don't go out and get the help that they need in the first place.
Yeah.
Which could also be really, really dangerous.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So, like, the other thing is this. A lot of people give like health and nutritional advice. And they'll say things like, oh, blah, 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 you should try this. You should just have more kale. You should just have vitamin D. You should just, like, I had somebody after I got out of the hospital who was somebody who I love, who loves me. They meant well, but they were like, oh, I've heard that, like, if your gut biome is off, like, that can make you depressed. Great, but here's the deal. You know what else makes me not depressed? Zoloft. Not just kombucha. So, like, here's the deal. Even if that were true, I wouldn't even be able to be in a space at that point to fix my gut biome. A. B, like, if that was all it was, don't you think doctors would just be prescribing us kombucha and not Zoloft? Same with, like, kale and stuff. Like, if that fixed everything, then we would all be doing that. C, I think it's important to realize, like, how information gets out. I think, like, with our culture and with social media and the accessibility of information in a really rapid way, like, one study will come out that in a very specific way talks about how they did research and found the benefit of one little isolated nutrient that helps this. But here's the deal. Like, has that study been duplicated? What's the sample study like? Like, there are so many variables in research, and just because one study says something does not mean that that information is applicable across the spectrum to large populations. But because of the internet, like, the study can get shared quickly, and people who don't understand how research works will read one study, that will become the headline and get blasted everywhere. And all you have to do is think about all the different foods people have said are dangerous, and then they're not, and then they're good for you, and that's because of that trend, I believe. So I think we have such a fix-it culture, too, that's where that urge comes from. Like, you see someone you love struggling or who says they have a mental illness, and you want to be like, ooh, here, do this, let me fix it and make it go away. And that's not how it works, sadly.
If only.
I know. Trust me, if I could eat kale and be fine. Also, I do eat kale. And also, like, you need to know, like, before this last I mean, I've had seasons of life where I'm eating, like, uber nutritiously and still been depressed.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you have anything to add to this, Annika?
I think the other thing that people need to accept and deal with is the fact that like mental illness and disabilities exist in the first place, and that like there is no magic pill that's going to make every single person stop displaying symptoms or stop experiencing symptoms. The only thing that is really going to happen when you're like, oh, you're just missing kale or vitamin D or whatever from your diet, and that's why you have X symptoms, is all you're doing is telling that person that you are not a safe person to be around and to actually like share and get deep with regards to how you're actually doing. So
yeah. And I think too, it's like that. I think it's also partially about radical acceptance. Like so radical acceptance is this thing in DBT. That's what they call it, and it's just very much like it sounds, which is accepting things that we don't want to accept. And like, I think like one thing I've been processing lately in therapy is radically accepting. Like, I keep waiting. It's so delusional. Like, I think because there are a lot of good years before my latest relapse, I keep waiting for some magical thing to happen where like everything's gonna be okay, and maybe even I won't even have this anymore, like, and that's just not how it works, and that's not how it's gonna happen. And instead what I need to do is radically accept that no, like, I have this illness and I'm gonna probably have this illness until the day I die, and it's just gonna be managing it, and it's okay, and that it doesn't have to be this big negative thing. It's just about accepting and managing. And I think that's what loved ones of folks who are mentally ill need to do as well. Like, just accept that that's where the person you love is. And even meds, they don't make it go away. In the same way that a diabetic taking insulin doesn't make their diabetes go away. It makes their symptoms manageable. And I think when you have the proper treatment program for you, which may or may not be meds, it's the same thing. Like, the symptoms are manageable. I don't know.
So I think this is
They
a good
can be
time
manageable.
to segue into like when you want to give advice. One, ask before you do.
Yeah.
See if the person is even like receptive of that. And the other thing to do is like literally just tell the person that you're sorry they're experiencing this, but that you support them. Like when I guess people like me post, oh, I have a migraine on Instagram or other social media, or saying like I'm in a really bad depressive cycle right now. We're not asking you, figurative you, not you personally. We're not asking people to like fix it. We're like literally just looking for someone else to say, yeah, that totally sucks, but I'm here with you. Like, we're looking for a community, not for another doctor.
Yeah. And you know what's weird? I think even, so like, my pharmacist did that to me once. And it wasn't even to me, it was to my partner. He was picking up my meds. He was picking up my Adderall. And so I had to pick up Adderall and Ambien at the same time. Which, if you don't know, they do kind of opposite things. But I take a PM Adderall, not every day, but like when I'm in school or I need to be focused late at night to get stuff done, I will. And here's the deal. Adderall doesn't negatively affect my sleep schedule. My sleep schedule's fucked whether I'm taking Adderall or not. So,
mine too.
Yeah. So, like, I've taken naps on Adderall before. It does not keep me awake at all. And there's been nights where I don't take my second Adderall and I'm up all night. You know, it doesn't matter. But he went to pick them up, and so generally I just deal with my sleep schedule, but then I get Ambien so that, like, for example, if I'm going, like when I went to Stitches Midwest and I was in a hotel room with Matthew every night and we had to go to bed at the same time because we were just in one room, I took an Ambien every night so I could go to bed at the same time as him and wouldn't keep him up all night. Things like that. But this pharmacist was telling him, oh, she should not be taking one that late at night. Like, one Adderall lasts like 12 hours. Blah, 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 blah. It's probably messing with her sleep. And I just felt like, okay, you are not my psychiatrist, A. And so there's all kinds of things you don't know. What Adderall does to me. My extended release Adderalls do not last 12 hours.
Mine don't either.
They last like 6, maybe.
If I'm lucky, maybe 6.
Yeah, 5 to 6.
7. Could you imagine, like, one Adderall dose?
It'd be amazing.
Last 12 hours?
It'd be incredible.
I would get so much more accomplished. Well, I mean, that might actually be a lie. I don't know. I'm really good at procrastinating, too. But, gosh.
Yeah. And, like, the other thing is, so don't do that, even if you're a pharmacist. Because you're not that person's psychiatrist. Like, this pharmacist doesn't know me from Adam. And, yeah. Also, I will say, like, radical acceptance of things, it can be really good when you share with people and they don't try and fix it. Like, I think Annika and I have had several of these moments in the past couple weeks, and I think because we're both neurodiverse, like, we don't freak out and lose our shit, which makes it feel like a safe. So we've had video chats before, and I've had a moment where I was sad and just cried, and Annika didn't freak out. They didn't freak out. They didn't lose it. They were just like, hey, they just kept going because they knew, oh, and they just kept listening to me. Like, she's going to be fine.
It also, like, I knew that it wasn't my job to make you stop being sad.
Yeah.
Like,
because that communicates that sadness is bad, and it's
yes.
not.
And it's not. It's
just
an emotion that healthy people have to experience, and it's something that every person's going to experience, and that's okay. Like, my job as your friend while we were video chatting then was literally just to be there with you and hold space while you were crying.
Yeah, and I appreciated it. Yeah. And so I'll just say that you can, when you try and fix it, you also communicate that those quote unquote negative emotions are a bad thing or negative, and it's just sadness. Also, it's going to make that person feel like they can't come to you, like Annika said, that you're not a safe person. I think that's it about mental health moment, because I feel like now we're just repeating ourselves. Or yeah. I'm repeating myself. Mental health moment. So we're not doing acquisitions anymore because we are
running yarn fast.
Well, that, and we're doing live streams on Instagram. So this podcast comes out Monday. On Wednesdays, we do a pattern review on Instagram. We go over the top 5. We go live, and it's been really fun. It's been so much fun. We've had like lots of people getting on and chatting with us, and it's good to have conversations and be able to interact with folks. And then on Fridays, we go over acquisitions, or if we don't have many, we just chat.
Which I look forward to so much. Like, I like being able to interact.
I know.
With everyone else. It's super fun.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Is there any other thing we need to talk about or cover this week?
I don't think so.
I have to call my dad back. I've been avoiding my parents for reasons I won't go into on YouTube, but you know, all the things. Yes.
All the.
Okay, well, thank you for joining us, everyone. You should subscribe. Leave a comment, subscribe below, follow us on all the things, join the Cover Your Ass Cal, and let us know. I'm going to put the question in the Ravelry forum about patches if you want one. And if there's enough interest, then we'll get a pre-order going. Even if there isn't enough interest, I might do it. Just know that the more people, the less it'll be. But I mean, like, a patch is not going to cost more than $10. I mean, at the most, if we can get a lot of people doing it and wanting a patch, I mean, they can be as little as like $4 each. Or less sometimes, I think. And if you want to make them, let us know.
Also, I will actually have show notes up this week. I really dropped the ball this past week and forgot, if we're really honest, like 5 different times to actually write out the show notes for last week's episode. So, sorry. Life got interesting this past week. But I will actually get the show notes up for this week. So.
And also, I'm just going to confess right now, I thought about getting an embroidery machine and making our patches myself. And I'm like, no, you cannot make one more
You
thing.
have enough going on right now.
I know. I'm like, okay, stop. I was like, should I price out embroidery machines? And I stopped myself before that. I'm like, no, you should not. Because there are other people who do that already. So if you're one of those people, let us know. And we will see you next Monday for the podcast. But we hope to see you this week on Instagram, on our lives. And I'm going to start trying to do some more social media posts on our Instagram about the Cal and about other things. This week was weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone. Have a good week.
Bye.